setting up your webinar for Facebook Live.
So my message says webinar is now streaming live on Facebook.
Mine says the same.
All right, so we're welcome. 40 minutes late, thanks to Facebook and Zoom. And, you know, isn't that just the way COVID is these days? So my name is Jenny Schneider. Thank you for those of you who hung in there and were waiting to hear our discussion tonight. I am here with obviously Kurtis Reese, who is running for Walnut Creek City Council. And I'm also here with Kate Laughlin from True Fusion in Walnut Creek, which you will get a chance to hear from in a second. I'm going to be moderating our quick discussion this evening because we're a little bit shorter on time, but we're here tonight to talk about running a business in Walnut Creek and what that's like, pros and cons. A little bit about me. I own Après Soleil Tans in Walnut Creek, and I've been in business for 10 years. We do customized airbrush spray tans. We've been voted best spray tan in Diablo magazine twice. And I just actually started a new business called Pathways to Transforming Trauma, which will be launching next month. I was invited by Kurtis and his team, one, because I do run a business in Walnut Creek and I do know Kurtis personally, but I also founded an organization called Thirsty Thursday. And we are a group of women in the East Bay who either own a business or we run a nonprofit in the area. Before COVID, we got together once a month. It would rotate where it was. And the whole point of the organization is to support women in business in an organic way. COVID has actually caused some struggles. We're still trying to communicate and support one another. We've had some closures and not closures like everybody else, but we have about 150 plus members in our group, and we hope to be able to get together soon. So enough about me. I want to give you a quick timeline just to give our viewers. First of all, thank you for joining us and thank you for hanging in there. Like, we've all had these technical issues, right? We're going to do some introductions with Kate and Kurtis real quickly. I know some of you are familiar with Kurtis, but Kurtis, hopefully we have some new people on who don't necessarily know you. So we'll start with you two introducing each other. We'll then have one or two questions that will hopefully spark a discussion about running a business in Walnut Creek and what's that's like. And then I'd like to conclude with Kurtis, if there's anything you would like to share at the end or add to the conversation that was not brought up in our conversation. If you could do that at the end, that would be great. Sure. But to start off, Kate, thank you for joining us. And I just want to mention real quickly too, we were supposed to be on last week with the ladies who run Wish in Walnut Creek and also the owner of Rebel Art School. But due to our timing being at the exact same time as the presidential debate, we felt it was in everybody's best interest that we postponed to this week. And unfortunately, they were not able to join us this evening due to the time change. So I do want to thank them for agreeing to do this originally. But Kate, would you please kind of give an introduction to yourself, your business, you know, the elevator speech, but maybe a little bit longer than the elevator speech.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So I am the owner of True Fusion in Walnut Creek. Different than Jenny, who's been in business for a long time, we are actually brand new. I had the distinct joy of opening a business in 2019. So we were unfortunately, still in our rookie year when we got shut down in March. But True Fusion, for those of you who don't know us, we are all different types of group fitness and yoga under one roof. So we have 5 different studios. We have 2 yoga studios, 3 fitness studios, and that includes a cycle studio. So every time you come to us, you're taking a class versus just going to a gym and lifting some weights and hopping on a treadmill. We also have a juice bar and childcare and locker rooms with full amenities. So it's really everything you're looking for under one roof, or at least it will be, when we come through the other side of this.
Thank you, Kate. And we're in the orange, so hopefully that opened up some more for you. And real quickly, before we move on, to Kurtis. Kate, I think you had some news as far as maybe.
Yes, thank you. And also we will be opening our second studio in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco in early 2021. So True Fusion taking over the Bay Area.
Good deal. So I wanted to make sure we include that. So Kurtis, like I said, I know that there are people who are on here who have, been on all of your conversations or partially, but there are also hopefully some new people here. So I would love if you could briefly just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, why you are running for Walnut Creek City Council, but also why you decided to do these conversations with Kurtis, which I think are so unique to anything we've really seen. So go.
Well, so my name is Kurtis Reese. I am running for Walnut Creek City Council, and the thing that started me on my journey, I think it's different from what started most of the other candidates on their journey. I started because of a tragedy. A lot of you know that Miles Hall, he's the son of close friends of mine, Scott and Ton Hall, and he was shot and killed by 2 Walnut Creek police officers a year and a half ago, June of 2019. Now that started me on my journey. What I did after that happened was I started going to city council, speaking to city leadership, trying to work with them to figure out ways to make sure that what happened to that young man wouldn't happen again. And from there, I started to understand what it took to get things done in the city. From an outsider perspective, as a citizen, I would ask if I asked the right questions to the right person at the right time, things seem to magically happen. And I wanted to leverage that energy that I had, because I managed to get a couple of things accomplished. The police chief's advisory board was started by the chief and me in February of this year. I've been working with representatives from the city to start a listening meeting where members of the community will meet with city staff and law enforcement to sort of hash out the different types of problems that we're experiencing in the city, interpersonally and in terms of social justice and things of that nature. And there were some other things that I worked on in that regard. And then it became apparent to me that as interested as I am in that social justice stuff, so to speak, there's no way I can touch any of it if we don't get things like the economy going again. So it's very important to focus on getting our businesses running. Of course, COVID-19 is going on right now, and it seems like we're heading in the right direction here. But I wanted to understand what it would take to get our economy going again and get the foundation of running the city where it needs to be, so that I can then pivot to do some of the other things that I think are important for the city. So until you get the business taken care of, you can't take care of the other stuff. And it's the same way with your home budgets. You can't plan your vacation until you know that you can pay for your food and your housing. So similarly, that's what my focus is for the city. But the reason I started these conversations is because I was going around speaking to different people from all areas of the city, people that did different things within the city, and I was just trying to learn as much as I possibly could. And it was so interesting to me that I wanted to share that experience with anyone that was willing to log in and listen. And that's what we're doing here. I'm really interested in I'm excited about this one because I've been interested in understanding the plight of business owners for a while. And then I get the added benefit of speaking to 2 women business owners who I think have a completely different perspective on things. So I really want to hear about that.
Great. Well, we appreciate you. To it. So we have 2 questions we're posing tonight to Kate and myself that I'm asking, which is a little awkward. But the first question, Kate, if you don't mind starting off with answering, is what is something or some things that you like about running and owning a business in Walnut Creek?
So, Walnut Creek is, I think, particularly appealing as a business owner because It's very central. When you think about drawing in customers from La Marinda, Danville, Blackhawk, Concord, Pleasant Hill, and of course, everyone that lives in the city of Walnut Creek. And really, when you look at that whole area that I just mentioned, it really draws in kind of all walks of life. And that's what really appeals to me. We have our membership base is really representative, I think, of all different, ages, experience level, income level, all of those things. And so to me, that's really what I like to see in a community, right, where everyone can walk in and really feel like they belong. In addition, there's just the kind of the amenities that Walnut Creek has, right? So free parking. I mean, that's something that we certainly won't have in the San Francisco studio. You can walk to dinner afterwards. It's relatively safe in downtown Walnut Creek. There's always lights on. There's always people around. I don't worry about the safety of my employees. So I think for a lot of those reasons, Walnut Creek was really appealing to me as when I was looking to open a business.
Right. So I would agree with you on all those aspects. I have free parking where I am, and I know that's a huge draw for a lot of my clients. I'm located right on the 24-680 corridor, so it's really, really nice. We have not only Walnut Creek clients, but we have people coming from the surrounding areas. So I love our location for the exact same reason that you're saying. One of the things that I've really enjoyed about being a business owner in Walnut Creek is I feel that there is a sense of community with a lot of the other business owners in the area. And that's part of the reason why Thirsty Thursday was such a success, was it started out in Walnut Creek, kind of as a core, and spread from there. And regardless of the size, like, even though I've been in business longer than Kate has a much larger business than I do, space, it's a whole different business model, yet Kate and I can get together along with other business owners in Walnut Creek and the surrounding areas and be able to relate and communicate and support one another. You also have the Chamber of Commerce, which is really good about supporting the business community. And I always recommend that people join that or get involved with that when they're starting out. So I feel like there's a lot of support within the business owners. And then I also feel that with the chamber and other areas, they really help you as a business owner, promote you and get started. And before we move on to the next question, Kurtis, let's have you ask questions or comment on that if you like.
Well, I was listening to you talk about running a business in Walnut Creek. It reminds me of a conversation I had yesterday with a concerned citizen. And when he spoke to me, he said that the things that I've been talking about really resonate with him, but he feels like Walnut Creek has been running really well for a long time, at least from his perspective. And he was concerned that maybe from other people's perspectives, it hasn't been running very well. There have been some problems. Now, you talk about how great it is to run a business. Do you have any specific challenges that you run into as women business owners?
Well, that was going to be my next question, because
sorry, I stole your thunder.
No, it's good. It's a good segue into the next part, because I always feel like anytime you do anything, whether it be an event or a client, whatever, you should ask, what did you like and what would you change? So Kate, let's talk about that. As a business owner, what would you change, or what would you like to see different in our city?
So, again, being new to being a business owner, I think I can speak a lot to the challenges I had in getting open in the city of Walnut Creek. And I have to say that there was a lot of red tape in terms of permitting, fire inspections. It was potentially harder to get the permit for Walnut Creek than it was for San Francisco. So that's, when you look at, as Kurtis mentioned, at the beginning of the call, we needing to support businesses to reopen. And, there's going to be a lot of empty retail space in the city of Walnut Creek. I think that's something that that is going to be, really critical in improving. I also think that, along the same lines of permitting and red tape, we're on the corner of California and Olympic. And so I have just a ton of visibility. And as a new business and a new brand to the Bay Area, I was really, really restricted and hindered in terms of signage, window coverings, what needed to be seen through the windows on those important streets and what couldn't be. And so I lost some usable square footage because we couldn't build certain things in front of certain windows. So for me, again, not having been in business that long, it's really the red tape of it all that was particularly challenging.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I had a lot of problems with opening my business, and even like one inspector saying something and one inspector saying the other, and it was definitely a challenge, and it took longer to open due to the red tape.
So was it a surprise at how long it took? It's one thing for there to be a lot of red tape, and you know that there's going to be a lot of red tape, but if you expect it to take 6 months and it takes 13, then that's a different problem altogether.
I think when I opened my business, Walnut Creek had a reputation of taking a lot longer. In fact, there was a question on if I was in county or if I was city. And when everybody found out I was in city, whoever it was I dealt with was really disappointed because everything was that much harder and that much longer. The other thing I would say is that one of the things that I just said I loved about Walnut Creek business, I also think that there's kind of this like old school club and this new school club, and I, if you're not part of Shadelands, which is the developing area, or you're not part of downtown established and you've been there for a while, you're kind of always on those outskirts. And as much as I've been involved with city council and even been invited by Matt Francois to talk about the reopening of like, how do we help our downtown? It was like, when I talked about my area where I'm located, it was like, not by Matt, I don't want to say that. That's not what I'm trying to say. It was, it just was, I feel like the city focuses on bigger developers and these businesses that have been in the area for a long, long time and maybe bring in a lot more revenue. And sometimes we're the forgotten stepchild type thing. So that besides what Kate, the red tape, thank you for bringing that up. And then this, I feel, is one of the bigger challenges as far as being a smaller business owner, but being in business for 7 years and having a pretty loyal clientele.
There's a lot of energy, at least there was a lot of energy around keeping the businesses open, the Rebound Program for the restaurants. And, but I don't know how much of that Rebound Program applied to businesses such as yours. I know that because of what you do, there were some things that you just could not continue to do. But I don't know how much the Rebound Program affected non-restaurant type businesses. And also I'm concerned that the Rebound Program will end at some point and there will not be some type of extension that will help businesses get back to where they get back on solid footing, get back to square one, back to an effective level of operation. And speaking to what you talked about earlier, refilling those empty spaces again. I think it's important that we find a way to come up with at least some type of modified Rebound Program that can continue to assist people to cut through some of that red tape. We can't afford to spend an inordinate amount of time getting back to square one again.
Right. I worry about when winter hits too. I mean, let's be real, like flu season's going to hit, the weather is going to get cold. All these businesses that have spent money setting up outdoors and I mean, that's just going to change. So I don't even know if there's anything in the Rebound Program currently to deal with that situation because it's going to be dramatic, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as I know, there isn't. So things like the Rebound Program, are those things that are just put together and presented to you? Or did you have an opportunity to participate in the creation of that. Have you had a lot of opportunity to speak truth to power, so to speak, in terms of keeping your business?
Want to speak to that?
I will. We were, I think, as business owners, and I'm a member of Walnut Creek downtown because of where we're located. So we were invited to at least one, maybe two, that I was invited to, kind of like open meetings, right? Open city council meetings where the Rebound program was discussed. I only attended one because of, Kurtis, exactly what you touched on. It was so focused on the restaurant industry that for me, I have a whole team of people that I'm trying to figure out how to get paid. And I didn't have the time or the bandwidth to sit through the 2-hour meetings on the restaurant industry. And I totally understand that they bring in a lot of revenue and tax and all of that. But I think my answer would be that the opportunity was there, but that the focus on other industries was not.
Okay.
I would agree. I would say besides, I'm not part of the Walnut Creek Downtown Association just because of where I'm located. Again, there's that, if you're on the outskirts or you're not part of Shadeland, you really are left out of a lot of things. And besides Matt Francois reaching out directly regarding that special meeting that City Council had, I was not contacted about anything else. I do want to mention that I did bring this up in that special City Council meeting, and I think Justin was probably the only person that kind of acknowledged, besides Matt, that, yeah, we have to think about these people who are on the outskirts too, that have started these businesses and have run these businesses. Like, we can't forget about them.
Yeah, that was a concern of mine as well, because even the name of some of these programs was just downtown centric. And that's not, I'm not saying that downtown isn't important, it is, but I was concerned about people like you, Jenny, that were on the outskirts. So it sounds like my concerns were valid.
Well, you just kind of, you feel like you're on your own. I mean, and that you have some support from the Chamber of Commerce, but again, you're not, like I said, I've been in business for 7 years. I created this company, and I somehow kept it open during a cancer scare and COVID. So it's not like, I don't work my butt off to make this happen. And you just, as much as I feel like I'm part of a community, I feel like it because of the connections I've personally made with people in our community who own businesses, and just my clients and neighbors and all that. But other than that, I don't necessarily feel that from the city itself.
Okay. So that's definitely something that I'm sure you'll remind me of as we move forward. Yeah, that's problematic for me. Now, I know it's difficult to be everything to everyone, but there should at the very least be a clear path to problem resolution for everyone to partake in. So that's something that I'm interested in keeping alive. So did you have another question, Jenny?
No, I was just going to say, because we're at 6:32 right now, and I've been in charge of keeping us.
Yeah.
So I would just like to say, Kate, if there's anything you would like to add that was not included in tonight's questions or discussion, and then Kurtis, same for you, and then I'll just follow it up after that. Kate, was there anything else that we didn't touch upon that you felt might be important to add here?
No, I feel like, Kurtis, were you asking us about our experience, particularly as women, earlier? Is that something you'd like us to touch on before we move on? Because other than that, no, I just want to make sure everyone's questions are answered.
I was interested in that. I apologize. My power came out of my laptop, so I had to plug it in again. But yes, I did have that question. Just at the very least, touch on it quickly and let me know what challenges you have as women running businesses. And then I have one final question for you, and then we can call it a night.
Kate, you wanna?
Yeah, so I will be on, I mean, maybe I shouldn't have circled back to that question because I don't really have a great answer. I don't feel like I've experienced any issues as you know, as a result of being a woman. I personally think that sometimes women have strengths that men don't in terms of you know, managing businesses and multiple projects and all of these things. So no, I haven't experienced you know, any issues as a woman business owner.
I would agree. I have not experienced any issues. And if they were there, I didn't bother to notice them.
Yeah.
Well, that's great news, actually. That's great news. I come from a family with strong women, and some of those strong women may be watching right now. But you know, I had a father that taught the girls how to change tires and change oil, just like he taught the boys. And so the only reason they had me change a tire is because they didn't want to get their dress dirty. It's not because they weren't capable. So that's really indicative of their strength and their abilities. They're as capable as, I mean, obviously, as capable, if not more capable than the boys are. As a matter of fact, they're the ones that got their master's degrees first. And I had to step into the fray and get mine and represent for the five boys. But that said, the final question that I had for you was, what do you need from me as a possible member of city council? What type of access, what type of focus, what type of support are you looking for from a city leader to help you be successful?
Well, I would say how do I put this? I love asking the question why something is done the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
I ask that question a lot. And the response I get most of the time is because that's the way it's always been done.
Hmm.
So I personally am looking for someone to always be looking at, this may have been always the way it's done, and there are probably part of this that works, but you can always improve. There are other opinions out there that you may just not have thought of. And so I really want somebody who is open to seeing what works, trying something new when it makes sense, caring about everybody, regardless of how much tax revenue you bring in, because we all started a company because we had a dream, and we all invested time and energy and took part of our lives and dedicated to this. So I took away from my 3 girls at Las Lomas, you know, like that's time I could have spent with my family, and I chose to follow a dream. And everybody should be honored and respected, whether their business succeeds or not, in taking that chance and that vulnerability and doing it. So I'm looking for someone who, regardless of who you are, sees that and still makes good decisions for the city, but they see that and they acknowledge it and they honor it.
Sounds good.
Kate?
So, you know, I think for me, what I would appreciate from, you know, someone on city council or just city council in general really is, you know, transparency, communication, keep us in the loop, let us know what's on the table, you know, give us an opportunity to lobby for something that we might need or want. You know, if it sometimes feels like if you're not actively paying attention and actively showing up, then you're missing those opportunities. And it would be really wonderful if the communication was better. You know, if we could get insights into what the city council was working on, things like that. That again, as a new business owner who hasn't been involved for long, it would be really nice to know, you know, how and where we can get involved and speak up for ourselves.
Sounds good. Well, I will do my best to support you in that way. I can't promise perfection, but I will promise enthusiasm, hard work, and responsiveness. And I know that Jenny will promise to let me know anytime I don't do what she thinks is the right thing. And I look forward to that. And Kate, I want you to feel empowered to do the same. I think that's really what we're doing. If you step into a leadership role, especially in local government, I think what you're doing is rather than stepping into a position where you tell people what to do, you step into a position where you listen to what the people need and then you act on that. And that's my goal. I want that to be the culture of city council. I want it to be a team effort from city council to do what's best for the city. Although we'll have our own perspectives and our own specific desires, when it comes down to crunch time, it's our job to do what's best for our neighbors and our community. So that's my commitment. And I really thank you. I really thank you for this opportunity.
Well, Kurtis, I want to thank you for inviting us and letting us represent our Thirsty Thursday group and women business owners. I want to thank Kate for taking the time tonight and everyone who's still on. We apologize for the technical difficulties earlier. I'm sure everybody can relate to some sort of technical difficulties during this time, and we appreciate your patience and being here with us tonight. It wouldn't be a discussion without saying, remember to vote, right? Tuesday is our day if you have not already. And this whole election thing, Kate and I were talking about this earlier, we don't really post on politics and stuff like that. Personally, I think politics is a personal matter. This was really outside of my comfort zone and my box.
Join the club.
This is the first time I've ever allowed in my front yard, quite honestly. So, you know, we can feel very helpless at times. And they talk about how voting locally is really a big deal. So if you are listening right now and you're trying to decide and you want to learn more about Kurtis, he has a website, kurtisreese.com, right? And then
Right.
Instagram social media is Kurtis Reese 2020. Is that right? I follow both, but I'm looking at as you can see, it's dark. My notes are really dark. But you know, the best thing that anybody can do is educate themselves. So our media is flipping crazy. Like, just take the time, educate yourself, and we really can make a difference when we do that. And everything is personal in your thing, and we're just so happy that you got on tonight to listen to Kate and I and to learn more about Kurtis. So I just really appreciate everybody's time this evening. All right, with that, I think Kurtis, any last words, or Kate, any last words? Should we let people get back to dinner or whatever it is they're doing?
I think I'll let everyone get back to dinner. Just, you said it, make sure you vote on Tuesday. That should be your primary focus. We make sure you're heard. Otherwise, you can't complain.
Yeah. Don't be that parent in the baseball field. Don't forget the coach. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Kate.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.